I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, August the 19th, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a straight shooting telithromycin injection, basically a generic Draxin. Go to macrocin.com to learn more about how it compares to the Pioneer product. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards, the market looks like it's got a good chance of being down. Some people held their cattle back, only expecting around 4,500 head in Carthage, Missouri at Joplin Regional Stockyards here on Monday. They're starting at 7 o'clock a.m., which is kind of late for them, especially in the summertime, but it's the way the market is. The next cow sale, special cow sale at Joplin, is going to be on September the 4th, back on a regular Wednesday following the weigh-up cows and bulls. If you want to get a feel for the market here early in the day on Monday, get on to DVAuction.com, select Joplin Regional Stockyards and watch that sale. You can always watch the sales there at Joplin on DV Auction. Socialism is not the answer. Well, he found that out on Friday. Well, the markets don't like it. The market got killed. The CME board got killed with Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris's announcement that she wants to bring socialism into this country here. We're a free market capitalism country, but she thinks the way to control this inflation that they created through printing money, introducing it into the economy, and then making all the other money worth less, and it takes more of that money to buy the same stuff. She thinks she can control that inflation through price controls. So that is that's one part of socialism. Another part is you want everybody to have the same thing. But so price controls don't work. Apparently she has never had any kind of education in economics. It hasn't worked ever. You look back most recently is in Venezuela, it completely ruined that country. I mean, just wiped it out. So, you run into shortages of products whenever you put price controls on them. And then you start seeing people selling stuff on the black market. So she specifically mentioned wages, gas, and food, including beef. So if she put price controls on your beef, well, you don't get to chase the carrot anymore. So what would happen eventually is people would start marketing their cattle in those old WW 2-horse trailers. They would just sell them door to door that way, backyard butchers, and they would have what they wanted and be willing to pay whatever it took to get it because people would want something like that. But socialism doesn't work. You have to give people a carrot to chase, and that's why they do it. And the harder people work, the more they're willing to invest or risk, take chances, try, then they get more. And the people that sit around and stay doped up all the time, they don't get much at all. But they don't really care because they're doped up all the time. And once you get where you're too lazy to bend over and pick up $1, you've bottomed out. But when the government's going to hand you fistfuls of hundreds, you don't really care. So, I was in New Mexico over the weekend at the Ruidoso Horse Sales, New Mexico bread sale there. And, they've got help wanted on every single sign. Yet there's people smoking dope everywhere and don't seem to really have any desire to do anything. And I think a lot of the tourists go over there so they can do that too. Pulled up for breakfast one morning, pulled in a parking lot. Vehicle pulls up next to me and they open the door and it was like Cheech and Chong's creeper van, in the morning. So, of course they say that stuff is not addictive. So, but it seems like once people start doing it, they really seem to like it. And I thought that was what addiction is. But once you get that lazy, then you don't get anything. But that's the way she wants everything. And she's even talked about equity. And to find equity is that, you know, you have to help some people to get them up to where other people are. And some people don't have anything, so you have to give them more because she wants everybody to be on the same. And people don't want to be that way because they want to have some try. They want to work harder. They want to try harder. They want to gain more, and then they want to have that pride that you get whenever you achieve something, when you're able to buy something. You know, you have a really good year, so maybe you buy you a new pickup. Well, you know, it makes you feel proud that you worked hard enough and you did well enough to be able to do that. But you can't take away the carrot. But I'm real worried about the board. And you guys are saying, I don't know why you're always trying to push your politics on us. I'm on point. I'm talking about the cattle market. And I'm not just preaching to the choir, because every time I start talking about this kind of stuff, I get all kinds of nasty comments on here. So I'm preaching to those people. Those people are the ones I'm trying to straighten out here. But you know, that the board on Friday tanked whenever Kamala made that announcement. And then as soon as that happened, then people just started puking their fat cattle dollars and dollars lower. Mostly $3 lower live, but the dress trade, what little there was even more than that, as much as $6 lower for the most part. But it's just not good. But I'm worried about the board all week this week, because we've got the shit show that they're going to call the Democratic National Convention going on in Chicago. And I mean, this thing is out there. You know, they've got a deal called the Wiener's Circle, which I guess it's good. They are serving some, I don't know if they're all beef hot dogs, probably not, but the Wiener Circle is going to be giving free hot dogs to any women that want to take an abortion pill, or men that will have a vasectomy done there on site. So you can get a free hot dog out of the deal. But isn't that crazy? But there's going to be a lot of protests going on. It's going to be wild. There'll be a lot of nut jobs down there. They're going, and they've been talking about all the different protesting groups they have there. And for every protesting group, almost there's another one protesting the same thing, but it's gays that are doing it. So then they've got their own. They get to segregate into their own. The gays don't want to be with the other people doing it, but they've even got gays for Palestine. Do they know what they do to gays over there? Probably not. They've got gays that are all pro-abortion. You know, if you're gay, you're not really worried about unplanned pregnancy, I wouldn't think. So I don't know, it's just that none of that stuff makes any sense to me. But it's going to bring a lot of this stuff up to the forefront. It's going to scare the hell out of businesses. It's going to scare the hell out of markets. And I'm just worried about your fat cattle board this week. But let's talk about what the board did last week. Your August live cattle futures started out the week down. Cattle futures, they tend to start the week out down. That just puts them on a negative note. Monday was down 92 cents. Tuesday was up 67. Wednesday was up 60. Thursday down 55. And Friday down $1.25 after that announcement there about how if we end up getting that Democratic president, we could be bringing socialism in and price fixing on beef. But August live cattle ended the week at 182.80. That was down $1.45 for the week after some kind of encouraging things there middle of the week. Your October contract ended the week at 178.30. That was down $2.85, so more so out in the future there. August feeder cattle, of course, Monday was down big, down $2.10, but we got it right back on Tuesday, up $2.07, up $1.42 on Wednesday. Took most of that back on Thursday, down $1.17, and then down $3.95 on Friday after that announcement there from the foolish candidate. Ended the week at 242.77. September contract ended at 239.50. December corn ended the week at 392.5. It looks like it's going to be sub $4, you know, through harvest here. November beans ended the week at 938 3/4. Looks like the beans are going to stay sub $10 through harvest. Hard red winter wheat for December ended the week at $5.55. Your fat cattle traded up through Thursday. They had only sold 12,400 head, hardly anything, because it was one of those typical weeks where the board started out down. It was kind of a dismal week all week. Had a little bit of support middle of the week. Feedlots didn't want to take less money. Your packers waited till the end of the week, broke the board, and then forced them to take less money. So that's the way that works, and that happened on Friday mostly. But up through Thursday, we only sold 12,400. Negotiated in your 5-area feeding region. Live prices from 185 to 191. That was steady to $3 lower. Weighted average up through Thursday was just under 190 at 189.80, and that was about $1.50 cheaper than previous week's weighted average. Dress trade up through Thursday was only $2.97 to $3, and your weighted average was $2.97.91. That was about $6 lower than the previous week's weighted average. But Friday's when the bulk of the trade happened, and most of it was all after that announcement there by Kamala Harris. And I tell you what, it makes a difference in these markets, guys. Iowa sold 11,000 on Friday. They sold 17,600 for the week. Live price in Iowa on Friday was 187 to 192. That would have been on the high side of what they had traded earlier in the week, but of course your feeders were hoping for more. Dress trade from 296 to 298. Nebraska sold 8,900 on Friday, about 14,000 for the week. A lot of the previous trade to Friday was in Nebraska. But your live price in Nebraska on Friday was mostly 190, with a few up to 191. Dress trade from 296 to 301, a little better there. Kansas sold 6,200 on Friday, and that's all they sold all week. Live price was mostly 185, but ran from 184 to 186. Had a few dress sales at 298. Texas sold 4,500 on Friday, only 5,200 for the week. Everything at 185. Box beef cutout values were higher last week, so starting to get a little bit of support there. I'm not sure why here in the hottest days of the summer, but choice cuts, your weighted average on all of last week's sales for choice cuts, $316.41. That was up $1.92 compared to the previous week's weighted average. And your late week sales Friday afternoon were about $1 higher than that weighted average at $317.45. Select sales, your weighted average on all of last week's select cut sales up $2.15 from the previous week's weighted average at $301.18. And your late week sales were almost $1.50 higher than that at $302.59. Choice select spread on the weighted average was $15.23. All that based on 600 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter ended up a little bit better than what we thought. It broke the 600,000 level at 602,000, best we've had in 2 or 3 weeks. That was 11,000 better than the previous week, 15,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction ended the week at 247.73. That was still $1.13 higher than the previous week. Came up quite a bit there middle of the week and still finished higher. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index, 246.71. Don't forget they've got the big week this week at Unionville and Creston, Iowa markets. Unionville, Missouri has got their special sale on Tuesday, including 5 loads of those Rockin' R steers from Lucerne, Missouri. Creston, Iowa, Creston Livestock Market, they've got their barbecue customer appreciation special there. They're going to have a big sale, like 3,000 head, and including some big drafts there. Justin Peterson's got over 1,000 head of cattle in there, and Walt Glenn's got over 400. So be sure to get on to DVAuction.com if you can't make it to Creston, Iowa on Wednesday, because that's going to be a big sale and a premium sale for the week there that we'll see anywhere. Your cash auction trends for this past week were higher. because we were recovering from that big scare week the week before, whenever the market, of course your CME board cratered on Monday there and just scared everybody and took everything down. Well, this past week we were recovering a lot of that. Feeders were $2 to $4 higher. Calves were more. Calves were 4 to 8 higher. Calves were well sought after last week. We've got calf buyers coming into the market, guys. But your markets are quite a bit lower than they were sure a month ago and probably 3 weeks ago. But Fort Scott livestock market in Fort Scott, Kansas, they had a big swath of heavy steers in there. 215 head of 9-weight steers weighed 982 and bring 226 and a quarter. And yeah, it's not as good as it was, but it's still $2,225 a head, which is not too bad. How about Bluegrass Stockyards in Richmond, Kentucky? On Friday, they sell 56 steers weighed 911 pounds at $238.70. That was awfully good in Kentucky, guys. How about way out in Abington, Virginia? Tri-State Livestock Market sells 108 steers weighed 922 and bring $236.50. That's pretty good. I mean, especially wherever you're at, especially way out east there. How about St. Ange Livestock? That's in western South Dakota. They sell 72 steers on Friday, weighed 849 at $253.50. Thought that was pretty good, but the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere late last week or over the weekend in your Macrossin No BS top quote for the day, come out of Fort Pierre Livestock Auction, Fort Pierre, South Dakota. It was 75 steers, weighed 721 and bring $277. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.